is okay. When you wait, come back with those USB speakers. When you wait for, because we're at 10:30, when they wait a minute.
Yeah.
You can do.
I only really saw this yesterday.
I sympathize.
And of course, that's something ship. So many
Like for me.
So you one for USB, one for headphones. Thank you, garage giveaway. Yep.
Well, let's just test the sound for a second.
Go to your controllers, or your system preferences, I mean.
No, not that. Oh, there it is.
I think so.
Yeah, if you go to the system preferences, it might let you adjust the... That's okay. Right there. Okay, so the output needs to hit the headphone jack. All right, we are ready for our next session. Melanie and April from Paleotronic will tell about the Micro N8 emulator and upcycling classic games. Take it away.
Okay. Yep. 2 years ago, we were at Kansasfest and we demonstrated kind of an earlier, more primitive iteration of this called Disco Runner. And oh, was it A.P.P.L.E?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's had a few name changes. but it was basically an AppleSoft basic interpreter that we had created to allow for the running of AppleSoft basic games, but, you know, with 3D rendering and with the ability to add additional functionality through additional commands. Our reasoning was there's such a large amount of software for BASIC that if we could get younger people in particular more interested in, you know, like taking those programs and maybe playing with them and, you know, trying to get them, you know, more interesting, right? So an example of that is the original integer basic breakout. So I'll just fire this up, right? So with the basic interpreter, you could make it 3D, and it's the original program that's running. Whoa, wow. So if I go into text mode, you can see that it's the original basic program. You're in the way. Sit down. Okay, so then we moved on. We found some basic programs that had machine language components. So it's like, okay, well, now we need CPU. So we created the 6502 CPU so that we could run those little machine language routines for sound that come with the basic programs. And then, you know, it sort of became the next logical progression to be able to load a single load binary into memory, and then, you know, execute it through the AppleSoft interpreter. And so we did that. And then, well, heck, we've gotten that far, so why not create a full-blown emulator, right? And so we eventually did manage to implement full emulation. And so, you know, and at that point, it just sort of grew from there. So I'll take you on a bit of a tour of what we've got so far. So I'll go back to, I'm just going to go back to the main starting menu. So Micromate is broken up into a few different components. We have the emulation, which if you execute a disk image or a WAS image, it, you know, boots into an actual, you know, full-blown emulator mode, boots the disk, and so on and so forth. But we have a few other modes in terms of, we have the AppleSoft basic interpreter, an integer basic interpreter. We have logo, and we have a monitor assembler. Now, logo is also fully re-implemented. So, so a typical logo is just, you know.
Sure, too.
Oh, okay. Do I need to do that? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably my fault. I write things. It's my job to write things.
Someone has to.
Exactly. Keeps me in a job, then I fix things.
Okay. Okay. So, you know, a normal like logo graphic could be something like that, right? But because this is OpenGL, we realized that we could do, you know, something like that.
Oh my
And then sit there and so a 3D logo has the potential to be a lot of fun, and it's also, I mean, it's a full-blown logo implementation, not just the turtle graphics. For one of the last issue of Paleotronic, A.P.P.L.E wrote a Space War implementation in logo, so you can, oops.
Had to have thrust.
Which is pretty cool for logo.
Sweet.
Let me kind of get back to where so in terms of the actual emulation, okay, so let me. Oh, there we go. So, in case you're wondering, the file library here is built into Micromate. So you have a local folder that contains all your stuff, and that's actually on the system in the user direct, like on your system in your home directory. There's an actual folder called Micromate that lives in your home directory that gets created, and that's where you sort of interact with. So that's where you put files that you want to interact directly with in Micromate. You can just drop files onto Micromate, but now this Apple II directory, there we go. This is actually on the net, this is on our server, and every copy of Micromate can just access it. It just accesses it when it starts up, and it's got all kinds of. It's got a fairly large file library on it, somewhat like a bunch of WAS images and a whole lot of disk images and basic programs and so on and so forth. This is booting a WAS file, and ours warps it warps the loading so that it doesn't take forever. Bad Dudes is particularly long-winded. Okay, so oops, back from the detour a bit. So there's 3D logo, but there's also the basic interpreter also has 3D graphics modes in it. So these are just a few simple demos. So this one allows you to. We have several graphics modes. This one's 256 by 256 by 256.
We call it QGR for want of a better name.
And you can draw, you can do rays as well. So there's a lot of potential there for whoever wants to play around with that sort of thing. But okay, so to maintain compatibility with AppleSoft Basic so that you can load an AppleSoft Basic program and run it, AppleSoft has weird limitations with regards to variables and that sort of thing, and commands. So you can't just willy-nilly start adding commands to AppleSoft Basic and then expect existing programs to work. So the way you get around that is by, the way we got around it is by creating commands that start with an @ symbol, because then the AppleSoft Basic interpreter can deal with those separately, and it doesn't affect the parsing of a traditional AppleSoft Basic program. So in this case, we've created a command called cubeline that draws from 3D coordinates to other 3D coordinates, and with the color. Now this gets interesting once we get into the idea of what we call a micropack file. A micropack file it allows you to consolidate code and media and what we call control programs into one file for execution. Now, a control program is what basically a control program allows you to communicate and then affect an existing running file, or disk, or what. Anyway, I'll just show you. So this is Montezuma's Revenge, and it's just running the normal Montezuma's Revenge disk. Control program's not running. That's weird. Things always glitch out when you demonstrate them. It's Murphy's Law or something. while it's restarting, the Mockingbird music is actually playing back from a stream that's recorded. So we've put functionality into Micromate where you can record Mockingbird music from another application that's running, and not an audio file. But because of the nature of Micromate, Micromate is written in Go, which means most emulators go on a loop, right? But Go is time indifferent, so you can't really use a loop because you don't know how long it's going to take to do anything. So as a result, everything's broken up into separate threads. And so there's a video thread and a sound thread and a CPU thread, and all of these threads interact with each other in order to do the actual emulation or the basic interpreter or that sort of thing. So as a result, when we went to implement Mockingbird support, we couldn't actually emulate the sound chip fast enough or accurately enough. And so what we did instead was converted the instructions that are being sent to the Mockingbird into instructions that then we have a synthesizer that then plays the Mockingbird sounds. But that way, each channel is at 48 kilohertz, and it mixes properly with the PC speaker, like with the Apple speaker sound. So unlike with Apple Win, there's no dropouts when there's both Mockingbird and the speaker sound, which is kind of cool. Is that the way it worked this time? It's going to. It's not. Oh no, there it goes. There we go.
Wow. Oh, beautiful.
So there's a lot to pack in here, I guess. Each pixels are rendered as 3D voxels, right? And they're offset. So we set up the system can offset the various colors forwards or backwards in order to create kind of a textured effect. Like you see how there's the red bricks are sticking out from the white. Now the colors have been remapped, so obviously these are not the traditional HDR colors. So we put in functionality so you can redefine this color to do whatever you like. And there's a background, obviously, so you can load in a background file and put it behind the scene, and you can either have it move with the model or not move with the model. It's kind of up to you. Now, a lot of this functionality is being done by a control program. So, if we look at the control program, so first we have these. Okay, so this command at the top tells the control program, which is running in a second slot we call, or virtual machine. So Micromate comes with 8 different virtual machines that you can run simultaneously. And each one of those virtual machines can communicate with other virtual machines. So this VM redirects command basically says this program is going to affect the first slot, which is Montezuma's Revenge. And so then we have a number of things. It sets the aspect ratio. It sets the depth of the various colors. So basically the size of the voxels that it's drawing. And then we have color remapping, camera zoom, the backdrop. So montywall.png is stored inside the pack file container. Set the opacity. And various functions. These functions make it so that the backdrop moves with the model. And then we read the system panel. So we read the joystick and then use that to tilt the camera the camera orbit command. And all of that comes together to give you this effect. So I'm moving the character with the joystick, and as a result, the model moves at the same time. So a similar example, for example, is Robotron. And all of these files are on the server, so if you download Micromate, then you can just go into the MicroPack folder, and they're there. And this is the two-stick version of Robotron. So. So what other interesting things can you do with micropacks? So another thing you can do is you can enhance existing games in other ways. So this is going to take a second to load, but this is Zork. It's a So that's kind of cool, right? So there's two things working kind of together here. So there's the control program that we're talking about. Now this basically, we have a command that A.P.P.L.E created, like a function, and it's screen read. And so it allows you to look at the other, look at the screen of the other, like, running emulator and go, okay, well, what's at this location in the screen? And so, based on the location, we set a different background image, right? That's called, upcycling a game. Now, there's two things. The other thing that's happening here is inside of the micropacks themselves, because you might not want to write a control program every single time. So if I go into the micropack file for Zork, you can see that it's got the various PNG images for the different parts of the game that this is just a demo, so there's only like 8 of them or something. But there's also these CFG files here, these configuration files, and you can edit them through the built-in editor. I mean, everything's built in, of course. And it allows you to set various parameters. For example, we can set the stereo balance of the Mockingboard implementation, because we can do that. and the speaker mix, and the music sound source, and so on and so forth. So this is the audio configuration, but there's also like video configuration. Oops, not a disk. And that allows you to set things like the camera position and background color and the backdrop and things like that. So a lot of this stuff you can configure through these config files without actually having to write a control program. Or you can write a control program. It's all up to you. Now, creating a pack file is fairly simple. You just basically go and find what you want, and then you just press Control-Shift-P on it in the catalog, and then it creates the pack file in your home directory with a whole bunch of default configuration files. So you can just go in to the local directory, back at the top, and then it's down here somewhere, Packer, and then it's fresh and new, and then you can just go in and change the settings to the way that you want. The other thing you can do to create a pack file is you can actually start a game. Oops. There we go. Since we've doesn't look like it's gonna do. That's embarrassing. Oh, maybe because. You might have.
So didn't want to let go.
Yeah. You might need to log that.
I'm logging.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so to create another pack, like, to create a pack that, so the other thing you can do is use control, like use the built-in control keys to configure what the screen looks like and such before creating the pack. So in this case, you can make it turn on the voxels, you can change the depth of the voxels, you can move the camera around. Zoom out a little. And then once you've done that, then you can sit there and go and create the pack file. And then the pack file will be created once again in your local directory, but with all of these settings saved. So I did this with, I did this with, I think I did it with Jumpy Guy. Oh no, yeah, I did it with Jumpy Guy. So Charles Mangan's game that he just released. This is sort of the micro-mate version, the upcycled micro-mate version. Oops. And Degenbrock's flappable bird. So this is a good example of actually offsetting the pixels in order to create a 3D effect. So based on the different colors, so we offset the yellow and we offset the blue, the greens, and we move back the blue and just kind of shuffle stuff around. And it creates this kind of 8-bit, you know, like 3D-esque effect. But nothing's been changed with the original game. The original executable is still the same. It's just emulator configuration that's doing this. And once again, we have a control program that's just doing a simple swaying. It's just doing a simple swaying effect with the camera, just to kind of keep things, you know, moving and interesting and allow you to change the perspective a bit. So another thing you can do is you can hook in, like with basic programs, and you can do it with machine language programs too, but we haven't actually personally delved that far into it. But this is an example of a basic program that has a control program and how they can like seriously interact with each other. So this is just integer basic Pong, right? But it's got a bit of a twist. So whenever it detects that the wall changes, it changes the side, right? Now, so how it's doing this, oops, is the program. I modified the program slightly in order to use poke statements to set memory values in a location that the control program can then look into and kind of use as signal flags to say what we're doing. So we set the memory locations basically to indicate the direction the ball is going, so that the control program can then, while it's running, it's looking at these memory locations, and then when it sees that they change, it goes and changes, moves the camera over to the other side of the play field. So a few simple changes to a 30-year-old program. Oops. Oops. Can't type. Anyway, can't play Pawn either. What's other good one to look at? Miss Pac-Man's a good one to look at too.
If anybody's got like Trevicam or Gravel that they need to take, I suggest you take it now.
Okay, so one of the complaints with older games is that they're kind of pedestrian by today's standards, right? So one of the things you can do is just like, one of the things Micromate can do is do things to try to make them more challenging.
Controlling it backwards and upside down is a lot more difficult than you think it is.
Now, of course, since you can, since we've opened up full control of the emulator and the associated memory, another thing you can do is cheat. So this is one method of cheating. This image takes it takes a little time to load for some reason. It's burger time. It's getting there. Oops. Yeah. So this isn't, you know, this is a clean crack. I think it's 4 AMs, and it's not. It doesn't have any trainers or anything like that in it. Oh, there it goes. So my shifts, I still have 5 shifts, so I should still have 5 shifts. Yeah, and I do. I still have 5 shifts. So that's inside the control pack once again, in the hardware section. So if you go into the hardware section, then there's this section called memory locks. And basically what the memory locks allow you to do is set a particular address to a particular value. So in this case, we tracked down what that address was. April can explain how we tracked that down.
Yeah, so even a couple of years ago we had a recording feature, and that records memory and that kind of stuff. Now we've got a command that can analyze that, and you can say, I know there's a life counter and it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 when I'm playing it as it decrements. So you can make a recording and then analyze that, and then it will look for those patterns in memory, and it'll say, oh, okay, here's the location that's decrementing in that particular sequence, for example. So in that case, what we've done is just to say, once this gets set to 5, lock it at 5. So any attempt to write to that location will just be silently ignored. And the reason I said when it gets written to 5, because when you're loading games, some of these things use the same memory for like decompression and loading and stuff like that. So you don't want to lock it right at the start, because that could be bad. So it's like an offset, time offset thing.
Okay, so about that recording, right? So I'm just going to go back to Jumpy Guy, I guess, because he's a quick game to load. So early last year we implemented what we call Live Rewind, which is a recording feature. It's basically designed because I suck at games. So the idea was that when I die, I can rewind the function, like rewind the game, and just rewind it as many times as I want in order to not die.
So it's probably worth mentioning at the moment, all the hardware rewinds. So for example, you can load up DOS, you can like save a file, turn live rewind on, you can delete that file or save over it, and you can rewind, and it will also rewind the disk bit stream. So that when you get back to that point and jump back out prior, similar to saving your life in a game, the file will be back on the disk.
So if I turn rewind on,
Yeah, you'll notice you get a little recording icon, and that's active.
okay, and so if I rewind now, then
Yeah, rewind audio as well.
speaking of audio, I'm going to take a quick diversion just for a second because
How many do we get time?
yeah, you should probably talk about just for a minute. Where are we at?
About 10 more minutes.
Okay.
8 minutes.
8 more minutes. Okay, so there, that one. So this is something I'm going to demonstrate something we're pretty sure you can't get anywhere else if you really wanted to do such a thing. Actually, I don't know that one. Okay, so because of the way we implement the locking board, you can do this.
So the audio generation, because we use this synthesizer, is decoupled from the CPU type.
Okay, so there's a million other things I can show you, but if you go to this, you've gotten a pretty good taste of it. So if you go to the website and download it, you can play around with it. We also support color printer. We support color printing through Print Shop and other things. And you can also we have what we call a virtual modem that allows you to connect to things through ProTerm. So over the internet. So, oops, and it crashed. All right. So
That's me.
okay. So did you want to take a couple of minutes to talk about Discmate and
Oh, just quickly. I haven't got too much of a demo, but we also have a product. Charles has actually been using it. It's called Discmate. Basically, we open sourced the code we're using for handling disk images and browsing them in Micromate, and you can use that to kind of edit disks and add files, remove files, extract them, modify disks, and things like that. So there's, I think, there's a section on the website for that. Yeah, there's a section on the website for that. So that's on GitHub. So we can set the link out for that.
yeah, the major thing about Discmate is it allows you to scan through a collection. Like what sets it apart from Apple Commander and stuff is it allows you to actually scan through a collection of disks and analyze them to determine which are dupes or which contain, say 95% of the same information, so that you can weed out duplicate disk images. And it does a lot of other funky stuff too, but that's probably the most interesting.
That would take a whole session in itself to walk through that.
Question?
Do you also have a magazine subscription that's starting in?
Oh yeah. So the last thing, we're almost out of time.
So we did bring 50 copies, 25 of each of our first 2 issues. So if anybody wants to...
Well, you can just hand them out.
Yep. Alright.
One per person, just distribute them randomly. So yeah, so us.
We might not have enough of that.
Well, one
Yeah.
per, well, okay, and when they run out, when they run out.
Yeah.
Sell them.
So I can't sell them.
We're not allowed to sell them because we.
Immigration will get upset about that.
yeah.
So.
What if a donation?
No, just.
What if Steve sells them, and what he does with the money after that is...
Now, if you want more information, you can go to the website and do things there.
What is the address
You gotta, yeah.
Paleotronic.com.
.au.
No, just.com. Now, okay, so several months ago, well, I guess about a year ago, I got an idea. Like, I wanted to bring back a more classic computer technology magazine that looks at the history of computers and video games and other technology, and just kind of provides a more modern context or packaging to that information. So the magazine kind of grew out of that. And so issue 3 is going to be coming out at the end of this month. The first issue was about the Consumer Electronics Show. The second issue was about the history of television and video. And then the third edition is going to be about the moon landing and have associated articles related to that, such as Basic Lunar Lander and video games that were related to the moon and so on and so forth. Now the first issue has an interview with Steve Wozniak in it about the Disc 2. And the second issue has an interview with Spectrum engineer Richard Altwasser. And yeah. So if you're interested, I can't ask you to subscribe, but what I can ask you to do is go and take a look at the website. And the website, the articles get posted on the website basically 2 issues behind. So we've posted most of the articles from issue 1 are posted on the website, and it's been up for 3 months and it's got like 80,000 views, which I think is pretty good. So for 3 months, and subscriptions are gradually pouring in, so it looks like we'll be good for at least a few more issues.
This is beautiful.
It really is.
All right. Oh, well, I need water, so I guess that's it for me. Any questions?
Yeah, Melody, it's there's amazing complexity and power, with the scripting and everything. Is there any documentation for anyone who wants to come in and learn the system?
Yeah, there's some articles on the website in the help folder in terms of there's a quick start, and then there's an article about the micro pack. Like how the micro packs are designed and configured. The thing that we're missing currently is a comprehensive explanation of the @, functions, but we're hoping to get that up by tonight.
Like the command reference.
Yeah. So the command reference will be up tonight. We've been kind of lazy about it because we've been constantly developing and adding new commands and that sort of thing. But
just one other quick question. The backgrounds for the Zork 1. Where did the art assets come from?
Oh, those are just example ones that I pulled. They're not.
But they were so Zorky.
Yeah. I think some of them are actually from a 3D version of Zork.
Oh, okay.
But it's
like just screenshots that people
uploaded
from a different game.
Yeah. But it was meant more as a demonstration than an actual
Okay.
Yeah.
It works so well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So text adventures can be upcycled that way, and yeah. Any other questions?
One more question, Chris. You had one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's the license for the micro animate? If you wanted to distribute that with like your own game or something, would you guys?
Oh yeah. It's just non-commercial. Like so we're the only people that could ever attempt to try to make money off of it. But if you wanna package it up, we can do that. But you would be best to contact me if you want an actual packaged game. Contact us and we can certainly do that for you.
All right, thanks.
All right.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep.
Next up, we have Brian Weiser with information from Call Apple.
It is.
Where's the video adapter? It's the white one. Oh, the adapter. It's on here. There's a, yeah. That should go to a display port.
It's going to. It's lightning.
Well, you have these.
It's going to lightning. Martin said there was one down here.
I don't have a lightning plug.
Martin said that there was.
Martin's lying.
He said.
I didn't know that we could see that.
Martin guaranteed me there was a lightning adapter.
Maybe, I don't know. Let me see.
I don't know.
They probably
My presentation is somewhat pointless without slides.
You don't need the second projector, do you?
I just need a lightning cable to hook up this laptop, so.
Yeah, I'll turn the second
I think I only have mini DVI and mini HDMI.
Oh, good grief.
Is it in PowerPoint? Or
Yeah, it's.
you put it on here and you can use my laptop?
I've got the flat. Do you have PowerPoint?
I have PowerPoint.
Yeah, I'll just have to run back to the room and get the USB drive.
Oh, wait. Here.
Oh, okay. But then I guess. Hey, Dagan, is there a lightning adapter to go to the Mac? And you've got DVI?
HDMI.
Hey, can you help get his laptop hooked up for me while I'm getting the presentation off, please? Since now we're having to do something completely different. Yeah, that's interesting. Your flash drive isn't mounting.
Oh, it isn't?
Does anybody have a flash drive I could borrow? Yeah, if I could borrow it really quick. Evidently, I've got to switch laptops here. Oh, or actually, I may have just gotten one. It's lightning. Or maybe it's USB-C. I don't know. Martin said it was lightning. So.
Still need a phone, just let me know.
Okay. It's support on this side, whatever that is. Yeah. So,
You have it?
yeah.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, did you get it? Oh. Well, that's what I said. It's, yeah, I don't know your cable system, so.
Oh, okay.
Is this the cable I'm plugging in? Okay. Like, it would really help if people were helping. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this laptop. I apologize. So, emergency averted. Yay. Thank you. Sorry for the headache there. It's just nothing like no setup time and trying to hook up a. Yes, I would like to open with PowerPoint.
Is that your stage?
Yeah.
USB? Okay.
Yay! Slides! I'm so happy. Do I need a microphone, perhaps?
You need a microphone right there.
Cool. Thank you.
Just have to switch it on. The light will stay on once it's on.
Cool. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Can you, is this on? I think so.
Turn it up a little bit harder.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, I have a loud enough voice, but
Yeah, he turned it on.
I flipped it on. The red light isn't on, but I did flip it to on.
Do you have any energy field now?
No, I'm a very happy, positive guy, so
This was working and now it's for some reason it's not.
it flips to maybe the battery's dead in it.
Hello. That's better one.
That's okay, thanks. Always nice having backups.
Now that one sounds like it's working.
Okay. So I'm Brian Weiser with A.P.P.L.E, often known as Call Apple. We're the oldest Apple user group from 1978, still going strong with a variety of offerings. And as I usually do, I'm going to try to do a quick run through of everything to date and then cover our new products for all the newcomers. And if you do have questions while we're going along, please feel free to interject with a brief question. I love slides so much because Steve Jobs hates them. That's why I've got about 90 of them. Who works at A.P.P.L.E? Well, first of all, good old Bill Martins, who is our president and big director of traffic, sometimes doubling as an international spy, it looks like. Jim Maricondo has been with us for many, many years. He was actually the creator of the Twilight 2 screensaver, and he's done a lot of great things for us. Javier, Mr. Retrobrights, always writing cool articles. Me, Brian Weiser, I do the design and editing of our books, among other things. And then Marcus Adams is a newcomer to the group. Yay, Marcus! And he made some nice t-shirts for us this year and is going to be helping us with other things, besides evidently competing with Javier for the next cover of GQ. And as far as a user group, we do have a base level membership fee to receive the benefits. It's about $28 a year at the base level. That gives you access to our full library of all of our legacy magazine PDFs, along with PDFs of the new magazine we've been producing for several years, and other benefits you can read about on our members page. And Call Apple magazine, like the user group, was started by Val Golding in 1978. And we love the rare early issues so much. A few years back, we made compendium books of those first 2 rare years. And our new magazine, this is one of my favorite covers. Bill actually took that photo. We restarted the digital magazine. Well, it got restarted a few times, but most recently in 2015 and consistently since then. It's for all of our members. And we're doing about 3 to 4 issues a year. And the issues are, we'd actually started doing it in iBooks Author, which is bigger than an 8.5 by 11 page, it turns out. And our issues are anywhere from 50 to 100 pages of content in PDF format. And we wanted to especially celebrate our 40th anniversary as a user group and magazine that happened in February. So we took that issue and put it in print. So you can buy this issue, and it's available in a premium edition with super glossy, high-quality paper, and then a more affordable edition. And also, you can download the full PDF, whether you're a member or not, for a limited time, if you just go to the magazine section of the website. And we've done other magazines, the Mac A.P.P.L.E. We've also hosted the Australian Apple Review. Our primary website, callapple.org, is where you'll find news and information, retro and current. We run a lot of different sites, and thought we'd make it easier for people to find. We added a little extras menu to the main site where you can find links to some of the most common ones we run, because we love creating lots of different things. One of the older ones we've done is Apple Archives, which is a collection of different websites and magazines and software and so forth, kind of all-encompassing. Hosted on our Apple Archives, we have two sites that are very near and dear to my heart that I did with Bill. The Beagle Bros official site, manuals, software, etc., and the Applied Engineering site, and a lot of the scans and documents you'll see on those, Bill and I did. Virtual Apple is a web browser emulation that's been around since 2003. We've also got Virtual Atari, Virtual Game Boy, GameSite, sites like that. And we're currently reworking the emulator code because web browser standards change over time, so we're doing some updates on that, but it does have a gigantic database that's used by ActiveGS and others. We run mecc.co, the big educational company. This is the official site supported by some of the first CEOs and presidents with free software and PDFs available. We're always expanding that. Bill bought so many hundreds of different educational binders, and it's just a process to go through and archive it and make it available, so that's an ongoing project. And we produce books. We've started producing new books since 2013 at callapple.org/books. And the first one, which I'm especially proud of, is the WozPack with Steve Wozniak. This was taken when he unexpectedly introduced it with me at Kansasfest in 2013. It's a collection of his highly restored original handwritten notes and printouts on the Apple II. We did a major enhanced edition of What's Where in the Apple, which is a great programmer's reference, over 600 pages, over 2,700 memory locations of peaks, pokes, and calls. It's approachable by programmers of all levels, and there's just a quick sample of one of the chapters and some information out of the atlas with detailed descriptions and so forth. We had re-released the Monitor Appealed, which is a classic collection of peaks, pokes, and calls. When Mike Harvey was the keynote speaker, we were inspired to do a book to honor him. So this is a highly organized compilation of all of his viewpoint editorials from all of his Nibble magazines, covering business, covering history, personal advice, software piracy, a little of everything. Partnered with David All to reboot his Colossal Computer cartoon book. He wrote a new foreword for it, and it's just a fun collection of cartoons from the 70s, like What Hurts Is I Wasn't Replaced by a Whole Computer, Just a Transistor. 1970s humor, but it's still fun. And Cyberjack that we released last year, this is Bob Clardy's autobiography. Bob Clardy was the president of Synergistic Software, and he released his company released over 400 titles for so many different game systems over decades, and also released titles for other publishers as well. And I had to show this photo because Roger showed another version of it earlier. We've got Bob and Waz and then Roger next to him. So there's a lot of photos throughout this, early development of synergistic programming tips, some of his experiences working with other companies like Sierra, where he helped with Thexter and many others. Business sections, since this is an autobiography and he's a fun guy, he's involved in karate and rafting. And those are just some random highlights, but it's a fun book. And because we loved Bob and Synergistic, we did a compilation of all of the early game manuals, and this is much more than just some scanned manuals. We've got some cover variations. So that one on the left is a variation of the Odyssey cover. Created a custom title page with screenshots. The left side there has kind of the about and some in-game screenshots. So it's really fun that way. And then of course at the end, detailed software credits. So that's my 11-minute overview of where we are to date. Now we're to 2018. What have we done this year? By the way, any questions so far? Yes?
Since you're blowing through your slides so fast.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I just figured a lot of people have seen some of this before, so.
Can I get your slides? Instead of trying to copy all that down so fast.
Yes. Or a lot of it, if you just go to our website, like callapple.org, if you click on the books tab, callapple.org/books, all the books are there, and you can go to detailed press releases on each one. If you go to callapple.org and you click the members tab, you'll have all the membership. So it's pretty easy to find the equivalent of what I've just presented.
You don't need the slides, go to the website.
Yeah, that's probably a little easier and more detailed than you want to hear right now. So earlier this year, we got in contact with John Blankenship, and we re-released and fully retypeset the Apple House, which is home automation for your Apple II. What could be better, right? And Bill also spent a lot of time retyping all of the source code because John didn't even have disks of any of his original programs that are featured in this book. It was originally published in 1984, not by us, but we've got it broken out here. There's all sorts of different hardware, software, full source code available. He shows you how to use hardware that you can buy as well as building your own. And just some highlights of some of the different sections, like voice synthesizers. Lots of fun charts and graphs, trying to make it clear and easy. And of course, all the source code in the book and also available on a free disk image for anyone that might want it. And I can't remember who, but Bill was telling me somebody that's here at Kansasfest has really taken off with this book and done some neat things with it. The next big one we released in the last month is all about AppleSoft. This is a book that A.P.P.L.E. originally released in 1981. And this was sort of like a mini What's Where in the Apple from the perspective of, hey, this will be quick. No. It's fully retypeset, expanded, clarified. It's a lot more than the original. There's about 280 pages. It's for beginners, intermediate, advanced. You've got a lot of programming references, how-tos, over 40 utility programs and library routines to help you understand BASIC, guided AppleSoft tour, construction of BASIC, in-ROM routines, strings, memory usage, machine language extensions, ampersand, etc., etc. So there's one of the articles by Val Golding, AppleSoft from bottom to top. The book does feature a lot of different authors covering different topics. So that's the first one. We've got a real variable study by Eric Goetz. And he's talking about different loops here in the routine example he's giving, like a active paddle loop, command key evaluation. So he's breaking out line by line, section by section in the programs what the different areas do, so you can read, understand, and then adapt that to your own software. AppleSoft Internal Entry Points by John Crossley. Text pointer input routines. This is just the beginning, but a sample of the index of memory routines that are covered. Making Basic Behave by Bob Hulsdonk. High-res graphics routines. And this is one thing well, Bill is too, but I'm especially passionate about with all of our books, is adding as much art as possible to make it fun. So all the art you see throughout the book is art that originally appeared in some of the early Call Apple magazines. And so I've tried to put that in many places where appropriate, like the ultimate input nearly anything subroutine with the guy inputting himself into a barrel of apples for fun. Using delimited string arrays. Amplifying AppleSoft by David Lingwood. AppleSoft Memory Locations by David and Bill. And Commands. Memory allocation. And then I did a peeks, pokes, and calls section that was inspired by a list I put together when I was a kid that goes into a lot of different categories. Any questions on those two books that I've talked about so far, Apple House or All About AppleSoft?
I don't know if I missed it, but you said you spent an agonizing amount of time retyping that. So do you have a digital version of that or the source code somewhere? Well,
and I'll mention this again later, but with any of our books that have programs or source code, we do have a new website, callapple.org/apps, where anyone can go and download the disk images of all the included software. As far as digital copies of the book, I do have some on my docket, but it's a matter of free time to put them together. I am planning to do some digital books of some things. This one is not on the list right now. As far as the full book. The Tome of Copy Protection, if you were in Lane's presentation earlier, you heard a little bit about this. It's designed to help you understand and create your own copy protection schemes. And it's 392 pages. And just a quick personal anecdote I thought was funny. My first Kansasfest was 2012, and I ended up rooming with Lane. He was telling me about this book, and I helped him convert his early legacy documents, just trying to help out a nice guy. And then unexpectedly, here we are in 2018, and we're doing a book. So it's just funny how things come full circle in life sometimes. It does include source code documentation and tips for over 25 programs talked about in the book that Lane and Bruce Jones have created. And it also has forewords from game developer John Romero and our own beloved applesauce creator John Morris. And I'm just going to actually highlight each of the chapters in this book because I think they're so interesting. So the introduction is a bit of history, of course, and a nice summary of the programs that come with it. There's a full-featured image copier, a lister that converts Merlin source code to text files, programs to install the copy protection routines that are talked about in the book, a very advanced nibble editor, and some sector and track programs as well. A chapter on Disk 2 mechanics, reading and writing data to the disk, the role of self-sync. And Lane mentioned this, but I should mention it too. He and Bruce had originally published an earlier version of this book, advertised in Computist and other places. This book, like our books, is fully retypeset, reformatted, updated graphics, expanded. Although I would really like to own an original. The Art of Nibble Counting, bit insertion, invalid bytes, configuring a nibble editor. Just one of the screens on some of the disk transitions. Advanced bit insertion, bit by bit, talking about the elusive sync bit. Oh, another thing I thought would be kind of fun. Every chapter, the little disk image, if you look, is the name of a favorite copy program or utility like Locksmith or Copy2Plus or Super IOB, fun stuff like that, just for a little variety. Lots of appendices on disk formats and other things, and full listings for all the source code in the tome, which of course you can download from our website as well.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? I've only been talking for 21.
You have a half hour.
Okay. The Apple's Apprentice from Roger Wagner. I guess I'm really blazing through this. It's a wonderful magazine that is now compiled. There were 3 issues, fully enhanced, restored. Nice forward from Roger. And just wanted to show you a sample of some of the fun that's inside. I did sell out here, but of course you can buy this online. Lots of articles. It said it's aimed at kids from ages 8 to 80, which certainly could apply to all of us.
At the same time.
At the same time, that's right. Ask the Wizards, Spells and Potions. Yeah, it's articles on basic assembly language. This is the freaking out article Roger talked about by Cheshire Catalyst. Some fun cartoons. There's the second issue cover. Crosswords. Days of the Nights contests that they ran. The last issue cover. GQ shot with Roger there. It was a very high quality production. We also have manuals that we've released. Blankenship Basic, which is a very advanced basic. Big Mac Macro Assembler. The Scrambler, which is a copy protection creator for your disks if you need copy protection in your business office on an Apple II. TurtleSoft, Turtle Graphics for AppleSoft. And again, all of these are available at callapple.org/apps if you don't want to go to the individual book pages. GBBS Pro, we did release the book a few years ago. The awesome BBS software, major update. For any GBBS lover, lots of expanded things. And we had announced the software would be available late last year, but the programmer kind of dropped off the face of the earth. And so thanks to heroes Lane Roth and Anton Vignow, we've been able to reboot that. And really, truly, there will be a GBBS update very soon. Lane is working on it right now. And we hope to have something out shortly after K-Fest. Lane is awesome. Thank you, Lane. Yeah. We released the Structures iOS app, Martin Hayes game. How much time do I have?
2 minutes.
All of these books, we partner with authors. So when you buy one of our books, you're not supporting us only. You're also supporting the author. And we do appreciate that. And our one more thing, we love apps, and we're actively releasing more and more apps from our library. We are releasing MicroWriter, which is a fun word processor for the Apple II. It generates standard text files. It's simpler than the most advanced. More than the most simple. It's got a lot of commands and things. And last year we announced we'd recovered the Twilight 2 source code, and that is now being worked with. And any questions in the seconds that remain? Thank you, everyone.
have a break and then leading to lunch. Next session starts at 1:15.
Thanks, Steve. I'll just make sure you can see, if we used to have like a 5-minute transition between panels, because it took. I think it's, I mean, constructive criticism, I think it's completely ridiculous. I mean, there needs to be 5 minutes, so I'm not destroying my presentation and yeah, the thing with the adapters, there should just be a variety of standard adapters, or some that can help assemble them.
This adapter, there isn't a lightning adapter on Apple or on Mac. It's a USB-C or something like that.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, and Martin said it was lightning, so that's what I went with. It's his laptop, but it's Martin's laptop I'm borrowing. And obviously he's subbing for Andy, so there's a little extra confusion for all of us involved. But anyway, sorry for the headache. I appreciate your help. I get stressed when I've got to figure out this whole thing with no time to set up. So 5 minutes would definitely make everyone look more professional. I really appreciate that. I'm good, thank you. Oh, I'm good, thank you. Oh, good. I just felt, yeah, it's like, nothing like something and having I didn't bring a silver pen. Let's see.
Something like that.
Well, maybe it's the other way around. Either way out.
Well, as I understand,
yeah, normally I write down silver and there, you can't get
that sounds more like barbarian to me.
Split
I don't think
I'm honored.